We're going to talk about some serious stuff this episode. What you should use solar for and what you shouldn't use solar for. And why this is the best bathroom off-grid. And why I picked the best spots. The choice on spots is because this isn't a vacation. I'm not on some trip. This is my actual life. I live here. I live on this river. This is river cane. It's pretty much bamboo. I think it's a species of bamboo. I'm going to see how flexible it is. Might not be flexible at all. No, it's not. Huh. That's an interesting material to come across. I mean, you could definitely make a fishing pole out of this. Huh. I'm going to think about what I could use that for. You could definitely put like 20 together to make something very stiff. I put a lot of time into trying to get a time lapse of turtles getting on the logs over the last week. And I gotta tell you, it's not something that I have figured out yet. When I do, it's just never really quite in focus. Like I caught them, it's just not in focus. But look at these trees that I am running into. Look at this honey locust. It's a thorny honey locust, and the thorns on it are bigger than my hand. I'm trying to find some here. Yeah, look at that. So, look at that. And they're strong enough that they could go right through your shoe, the bottom of your shoe, without a problem. It would be easy for them to do it. And then look at the whole thorn. Look at that. Imagine if that's just laying on the ground. There's no way you're not going to hurt yourself on that. Thorny honey locust. Ow! I just stabbed myself putting that up there. I don't want it to be on the ground, so. Yeah. Look at Cricket way back there just running around in the grass. Good girl. Come here. Yeah, this tree is no joke. And here's one of those vines. But I'll be honest with you, I don't know if this vine is actually... I mean, it can't help the tree, right? So I should probably cut it, but we'll see. I'll look it up. Maybe this should be here, but I don't know. I know no animal or nothing is going to climb this thing unless it's tiny. Look at that. See, look at, they're everywhere on it. They're just all the way, the whole thing is covered in them. Look at that. You couldn't climb this tree if you wanted to or not. It wouldn't matter. You couldn't do it. We woke up and it was horribly windy. It wasn't supposed to get windy until 10 o'clock today, but it is 15-mile-an-hour winds right on the side of our boat. And it's supposed to get even worse. So we're going to move back into the creek here and try to duck in away from the winds. We'll see. See how calm it is right up there on the left? That's where I'm headed. Super calm little bay because the wind's coming out of the north. This island is the same island River hurt his foot on, so we probably won't be letting him run like crazy here. Alright, well that was very uneventful. I thought it was going to be worse with all the wind. Let me put his collar on before I let him off. I don't want him to run. So it's 6:30 in the morning. We just moved to get out of the wind. Well, I thought it was going to be worse of a move. Like, I thought we were going to get blown into the shore or something, but everything kind of went really well. It's just, I'll tell you, when you're in one of those, like, blows where it's pushing your boat sideways and you're trying to take off the ropes to get off the shore, your best bet is to drive into shore as hard as your motor can, and that'll loosen the lines for the anchors and the tie ropes. You keep your motor running. You make sure your motor's up and running and warm, because you're gonna have to nail it right out of the gate, right? So you're number one, you're checking your motor to put it in gear by driving forward, so you know your motor's not gonna die when you put it in gear. That's the number one thing people forget to do. When you're at a dock, before you take the ropes off, put your motor in gear. Make sure that the transmission and the motor's not gonna die right when you put it in gear. So then what I did was I actually left the boat in forward gear a little bit to push the boat on the shore against the wind, and grabbed the anchor, the last anchor line that I had set up to be really easy to grab. I grabbed it, threw it on the boat, jumped on the boat, and backed off of the island. And then it takes a lot to turn into the wind. I mean, with a big boat like that, you really are going to have to gun it, and it takes a lot of time and a lot of space to turn into the wind, so you got to plan on that. I could have backed into the wind. It's a better approach because the motor's in front of the boat and you can make sharper turns with that way, but I got here. And then now, you know, you've been here like 10 minutes and both the dog and cat are already exploring and having fun. I'm going to make some coffee. And you can tell how calm it is around my boat, and you know how I am with wind. I can take 10-mile-an-hour wind, I don't care. So it had to be bad wind to move me. My top blew off of my toilet. Yes, that's what toilets look like. It's just a bunch of cedar shavings and you see a little bit of toilet paper. It's never even nasty to look in them. They're the best type of traveling off-grid toilet that I have found. Number one, they are inexpensive. So you can have one in your truck, one in your boat, one off in the woods by the place you typically go all the time, you know? And what I do with them when I'm not using them, let's say the one in the truck, it just looks like a 5-gallon bucket with a lid on it. And then you put toilet paper, wet wipes, and a large bag of shavings. And then you put 4 or 5 plastic bags, the liners, right? And the liners, you know, depending on what type of person you are, you can get organic ones. I tend to use the non-organic ones because I don't bury them anyways, and the non-organic ones you can take out and like Ziploc or tie up and put on the back of the boat for 2 weeks and store them up. I go through one full-size bag in about a week, and so every 2 weeks when I go back to shore, I throw them out in the dumpster with everything else, and they are 90% shaving. So the more, okay, the tinier the place that I'm at, or the closest the bucket to me is, the more shavings I use, and therefore you smell cedar shavings, not anything else, basically. And if you're in the middle of the woods and the bucket is 200 feet from you, why would you waste the shavings? You know what I mean? So I don't know, that's kind of how I feel it. But the reason I started this video is because when I left the marina, I didn't get any supplies. I was just like, it's gonna rain for 3 days, let's go out on an island. So I have enough food. I might get a couple of things from the store just because I'm going there, but I need a toilet seat and I need new litter. I tried to use litter from the dollar store for Cricket, and it's got scented, like Glade scent, and both me and Cricket our allergies are acting up because of it, so I gotta get rid of that. In small places, you need that scent-free charcoal litter pan, and then you just clean it every day. That's all there is to it. So, what is she doing? You're not allowed to come with us. River's ready to go. I'll show you. I have the dinghy. So I got water. I gotta get water, and I gotta take a shower, and then I gotta buy litter and a toilet seat. I think there's a tree there. Because that's kind of the same place I hit with the pontoon boat. River, get down. What if we hit something? You're going to go over. Get down. Stay. I know there's a lot of stuff in the boat. There's River's Frisbee. There's River's toy right there. You forgot your toy, dude. I'm glad I came back through this way. I wanted to see how windy it was and if we moved through. Hey, hold on, buddy. You see your toy, you stay. You see your toy? Get your toy. Where's your toy? Come on, get your toy. Get your toy. Right now. Come on. That was pretty much about as successful as it could be. It's pretty dang good. I'm happy with that. He pushes the boat off out pretty hard when he jumps off, but I'm kind of getting used to it. I probably should have came back in and picked him up, but I figured if I just... he's got a good jump. He can do it. Alright, I'm not going to video out on the river because it's cold and I'm going to put my hands in the sleeves. I will do a video on this at some point, but this is a graffiti park that's in my town of Waverly here. The best graffiti artists live around here. Like always, I have way too much stuff. The dinghy definitely would not plane with this much water and soda and food and cat litter. I typically buy the lightweight cat litter just because I live on a boat, but this time they didn't have the lightweight, and I definitely needed the charcoal no scent to get that glade smell out of the boat. So yeah, we're gonna have to take it slow all the way back to the houseboat. I'm actually pulling the... this is how you pull the trim up on the outboard motor that doesn't have automatic trim. I clicked it up one set so I can go back in here by the pontoon boat. You're getting too far away. Come here. That's her. So basically this is the extent of her punishment. It starts with me yelling cricket, and then it goes to and after that I get a water bottle and I spray her with water. So she reacts really well to the and I also, it's not like I'm subtle about the water bottle. I take the top off and I squish the water bottle in my hand towards her, so I'll soak the whole area. But if she's like not listening to me that far, she needs to get wet. It's so funny. But she reacts to the pretty well, as you can see over the last couple of videos. Yeah, it's a beautiful little island. Spring is coming. There's lots of grass, a lot of green. There's buds on all these trees. Yeah. Everything's happy. Not all buds. Okay, so some trees have their buds the year before, and some trees bring them out in spring. I don't know which one that is, but as I said that I realized that some of the buds are here from last year. She wants to go back on the boat, but it's a real jump over that water. We're on a shallow beach. Okay, so this is what I was talking about last episode about it being a third. Right now, about a third of the boat is on the water, or is on the dirt. That can get to be, you know, if the water goes down 1 inch, that can be a problem. So, but I don't want to back it up because we don't have much of a gap to get over that water thing. I mean, honestly, I need to really... some kind of plank. Alright, so this morning the boat was up here. You can kind of see where the blades are. And I had to pull it back a foot because the water dropped. And we were at an angle, too much of an angle. So... solar lights worked really well on the sailboat, so I'm gonna put more of them here. I bought some cheap ones. They're like $3 a pop, and then this one's $5 a pop, but it points down, which I like. So I'm gonna put a couple of them around the boat. We'll see how they work. I'm thinking I'm gonna go get a vine to screw on here and there, and it look like it's held up by a vine. The reason I chose this is because the lids screw on, so the wind can't blow them off. You're not gonna come back and find them missing. First time this has ever happened. So I parked it on the other side of the boat hoping this would happen. It's usually parked on the side that we never go on, basically. And she's been looking down this window at it, and now she just got in the dang boat and started looking around. It's awesome. Watch, you fast forward a month from now and I'm taking Cricket and River on boat rides around on the dinghy. Oh, it's perfect. Whoa, sun blocked that shot. Okay, so the ones I have up here are not, I haven't put a wood around them or anything. They're not permanently mounted because I might put them on the outside. I kind of feel like it's nice to have them in here for, I don't know, for the boat to be lit up, you know, so you can see the boat when you're driving towards it. And then these two out front are motion sensors, and they're pretty bright. And then they also can turn on to a dim and be left on. And the reason I mounted them that way is so you can get to the switches. So if you're driving and you don't want them on. I like it. It's going to be a cool setup. We're going to see how it looks tonight. So as you can see, when I pulled up, there's the boat mark right there. So we've moved back more than 10 feet since I've been here in 4 days. The water's just been dropping and it hasn't rained once. It's been gorgeous weather. In a matter of 7 days, this catfish trap that's in the right corner here is now completely not underwater anymore. And this turtle there used to be 3 turtles that could fit on this log, and now look how many fit on it. So the water is going down. So I use the solar lights and I love them. For the bang for the buck, they do a great job. And if they're not working, you can throw them away. $3, $3. So, but I think a lot of people go wrong when they advise to use solar for refrigeration. A couple different things. First thing you should know is that if you have a refrigerator that runs off of 12 volt and it runs off of propane and it runs off of 120, or you compare any one of those 3 variations, if you use the propane setting only on a refrigerator, it's going to last almost 30 years. There is no mechanical parts to it. It is basically just a flame turning on and heat being released or not being released. That's all it is to it. And because there's no electronics, there's nothing that gets fouled with moisture. There's nothing that goes wrong over time. And inherently, they last 2 to 3 times longer just by running them off of propane alone. That is something you should understand, because when we look at the whole process, when you get into buying a refrigerator, solar panels, and the controller, the solar charge controllers, you are looking at around $2,000 if you do it with something that's going to last 10 years and it's going to run you more than up to 3 days without getting sun, which means America. Like if you're anywhere in America, you're going to need to spend about $2,000 to get a refrigerator running. And that's not the price of the refrigerator. That's just the panels and everything. And the batteries, the charge controller. From there, right? My refrigerator runs 52 to 55 days off of 1 tank of propane. 1 tank of propane costs me $13 to $14. When you do the math, when you bust out a calculator, essentially, The amp hours that it takes to run a refrigerator on a solar panel for 10 years is about $2,000. It costs $2,000 to run on a propane. It's 25 cents a day. Okay, so you can run a propane refrigerator for 20 years, right? For the same cost of running it for 10 years. It's half the price for 10 years on a solar panel. Now, if, let's say that, and I'm saying 10 years, that's if your batteries work the actual full 10 years and you get your warranty for your batteries and your solar panels all work 10 years, right? So if everything works for 10 years, you're still paying twice as much to do that system as just buying propane. Now, the same price that it takes to run a propane refrigerator for 20 years, right? You still have 10 years lifespan on that refrigerator after that. In the course of running a 12 volt or 120 volt refrigerator, it won't last you 20 or 30 years. So inherently, you're already going to have to buy another refrigerator, which makes the equation even worse, right? So if someone's telling you 12 volt refrigerator, solar panel is the way to go to actually live off-grid permanently, they probably got that refrigerator for free, or they probably got that solar panel for free, and they're just selling you on it, and they've never done the math on the problem. Basic math, it's kind of simple. 25 cents a day, you're not going to get to $2,000 until you're almost at, what, 21.9, almost 22 years, right? So if you're actually trying to buy something to match that or compare to it, you're looking at, you'd have to buy a solar panel that had a warranty for 22 years, batteries that all came with warranties for 22 years, and they all have to cost less than $2,000. If that doesn't happen, propane's the cheaper, better way to go. Now, that doesn't even include the fact that the refrigerator lasts longer running off of propane. Just common sense would tell you, use the fuel that makes the thing work better and longer, right? So, that's just, I see too many people on YouTube just spouting off things without actually doing math or doing any research. It's like the people with the bathrooms. They're telling you, go buy this $700 or $2,000 toilet. No, pee off the side of the boat, number one. Anytime you pee and you can get it away from the boat in a different place, that's what you do. And then you collect it in the cheapest way possible and dispose of it in the most convenient way possible, where there is no chance of mechanical failure or horrific stories or odor. Why carry around 40 pounds of liquid, of sewage with you everywhere you go, or 40 gallons of it? That doesn't make any sense. Yeah, so sorry I ranted and raved on that. I've just seen, in the last week, I've seen a lot of YouTube people just say, do this, do that. And now, does that mean propane is perfect for everything? No. And some people are just going to be diehard propane because, diehard solar because propane is hard to get where they're going, and sun usually isn't. Or propane can be unsafe. For instance, with sailboats, it can build up under the keel and end up exploding because it's filling up the boat. Basically, it's heavier than air. So there are some things that will make people just be diehard solar and not propane, period. That doesn't mean that propane's not cheaper and easier on the equipment, you know what I mean? So having said that, the way to get solar is pretty simple. A lot of people freak out about it, but you sit down, you add up how much you use each item per day, right? And you basically go over a whole month, where sometimes you'll use a dishwasher, for instance, only once a week, not every day. But you add up the total amp hours that you're using. It's annoying, but you can do it. You actually just sit down and add up how often do I use the microwave? How often? Obviously the refrigerator's plugged in the whole time, right? How often do I use the electric coffee maker? How long does that run, right? So once you start adding that up, each one of those machines has a watts on the back that it uses per hour on the back. So from that, you can add up the number of amp hours you need, and then you can look where you are in the world And in the world, it'll say, listen, in your area, you need to have this many days of battery bank because you're going to run into no sun for that many days. Cloudy days do not charge your batteries to the fullest extent that full sun does. And even though you get a little bit of trickle on your meter when you're by a bonfire or if there's a street light by your car, none of that's actually charging your battery in any way. It's not even trickle charging it at that point. It has to actually hit a threshold to where it would maintain. And then the threshold is so much higher than 14 volts to charge because you end up, you want to overcharge and overheat the battery so that everything breaks apart and all the little crystal bridges that have been built break away. If you don't do that and you just maintain your battery for a long time, what happens is you just start getting less and less ability to use the battery, and we're talking within weeks. So when someone tells you, oh, we get power even on cloudy days, no, they don't. They just don't know what they're talking about. Some, like, if it's just a cloud it depends on the cloud, obviously, too. So the other thing is your amp hours times the number of days that you are going to use it without the weather that you would run into, and then you buy the best system that will give you the longest lasting amount of time for the warranty. Everyone talks about Battleborn. I use Battleborn. There are some cheap versions of Battleborn batteries that don't necessarily come with 10-year warranties. I wouldn't go that route. But you are looking at getting yourself into, if you're running a normal size refrigerator, not a normal size, a small camper size refrigerator, you're going to be looking at around $2,000 just to get that going. And that doesn't have anything to do with like jumping to the next level of having things running like a TV, a big screen TV, or a loud stereo system, that kind of stuff. So to me, your best bet is to have a candlelight or a tiny little light that you have that is Bluetooth chargeable, and propane refrigerator, and no solar panels, no none of that stuff. Just make it simple. He doesn't want to come in. Look at Cricket over there too. He just sits here at the door and he looks at me. But watch, like if you act like he's gonna come, watch. He just wants me to come out. See? See? You want, Daddy, will you come play with me? No, let me make coffee. I will come out and we will play. I gotta make some coffee. It's on the kettle's on. So I was checking the diesel heater this morning. Nothing really wrong with it. I just wanted to open it up and make sure that there was no like dirt. No mouse was putting stuff in here that could start on fire. It was really my thought, but there's no mice or anything in here. Everything's working good. For something under $200 to keep me warm all winter and just use diesel and work like nothing, it's just, I don't know. Don't know why more people don't use them. You can't hide from me. I see you, little son. I see you. I see what you're doing there. So there's the log we were hitting. It's finally low enough that you can actually just see all the logs and stuff. And then there's another one right there.